9:35. So I think it's about time to start. My name is Kepler. I'm going to be the moderator for the panel session, for a session on big data and the future of privacy, or to be free in these days of big data. There are several speakers. Some of them will speak English, and there are headsets available for translation. If you need them, these headsets might be found at the entrance of the room. Well, in any case, channel 4 for English. And so we'll give you some time, some more minutes for you to get and grab one of these headsets.
OK. Avec nous, 3 intervenants.
Right. There are 3 speakers on this panel session this morning. Mariale Moreno, a researcher with Cranfield University. Guillaume Liegey, who created a startup company, that is very useful. The startup is apparently very useful for politicians to win presidential elections. He's going to tell us all about it. And Ribeiro, Lobão, Mediashman, they're going to take the floor for some 10 minutes to share with us their opinions on our theme. And then there is a meeting with speakers later on. So we won't be having a Q&A session during the panel session, but there is every opportunity to talk to them later and ask questions. Now, I'm going to give the floor to Guillaume Liegey, because we are about to be in the midst of the presidential election. It's for next year. And so it might be interesting to listen to him and listen to his ideas and his opinions on our theme. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me? So make sure to tell me if I don't use the microphone properly. So my name is Guillaume Liegey, and I'm one of the managers of Liegey, Muller, Pons, and we, in our company, we combine data and door-to-door canvassing to organize political campaigns. We've been working in some 10 European countries since 2012. So I'd like to tell you today how big data transform electoral campaigns, political campaigns, and the relationship between politicians and citizens. So let's go back in time. In 2008, in the United States, I was a student at Boston University, and it was just 2 months before the presidential election that was to see Barack Obama becoming the next American president, and everybody was just crazy about supporting Barack Obama and registering on his website, and this is what I did. And a few days later, I met my colleagues, and they explained to me that we were going to have a 2-hour door-to-door canvassing tour in New Hampshire, because this is a swing state, So it's absolutely critical because this is the turning point, usually the tipping point of the campaign. We were in New Hampshire to campaign, to canvass for Barack Obama. And I was a bit puzzled about this way of dealing with canvassing. And I thought that at the time of big data, things would be more electronic. And New Hampshire's motto is to live free or die. And in this state, they didn't really, they did a lot of France bashing at the time of France refusing to join America in the war on Iraq. So my colleague told me I would be better off if I told them I was Dutch. We were provided with a list of addresses with some data about the people living in these homes. So we knew how they had voted in the past elections, and we knew how likely it was for them to vote for Barack Obama. So I was a bit puzzled about this and about the amount, the sheer amount of data that they had on people. And voting is something that has always been kept very secret in my family. I had, I learned that my grandfather hated François Mitterrand just, after he was dead. So the way you vote is something that is very secret. But they explained to me that on the basis of what sort of newspapers you read, what sort of bicycle brands you buy, what sort of stuff you buy, your age, your job, all this is fed to algorithms that work out the likelihood for you to vote for one candidate versus another. And the use of big data to identify the sort of voters you want to target is one of the reasons why Barack Obama's campaign was so efficient and effective. Have you ever participated in such a campaign, a political campaign? Well, it's very short. You can't just talk to everyone, so you have to target the people you want to canvass. And thanks to big data, Barack Obama's team could target the right people, the people they wanted to talk to. Now, this targeting system is very much extensively used in the US, not so much in Europe. It's not because it's because we have a privacy system which is very different and privacy laws that are very different. But it doesn't mean that big data doesn't have an impact on the way campaigns are conducted in France and elsewhere in Europe. So big data, and I think this is a positive thing. I think it's a good thing for campaigns to be better organized and rely on big data because it allows more people to conduct more effective campaigns. And it's also very useful for politicians once they are elected and they want to improve the way they manage things. And I'd like to show you a map. These are the 869 constituencies in Paris. This is really it's the utmost level you can drill down to. And it's just a block, in fact, a constituency, a ballot station is a ballot station, 869 ballot stations. And ballot station is really the finest point in the model, and you can use an econometric model to estimate the pool of potential voters. So it's a targeting it's a targeting system that you can apply, and the darker the shade, the darker the pink, well, the higher the number of people who may be won. Now, this is nothing new, of course, because for a long time now, large presidential campaigns have been using polling to inform their strategy. But what is new is that this big data, the use of big data, make it more affordable to a wider a wider spread of parties. And of course, because polling is very expensive, so thanks to electoral big data, it's possible to for a greater number of parties to use this information to organize better campaigns. So does it mean that big data is more affordable and is more democratic? Yes, indeed, because it's a way to better use canvassing time to target people who may abstain from voting, and you can win them over and you can make them vote. However, it's not the only implication. It's not the only benefit, because once you're elected, of course, each one of us, we do have a filter to read the world around us. And of course, this is biased because usually your friends, your colleagues are very much like you, which is absolutely normal. But of course, it does mean that you're not truly representative, even if elected. You're not truly representative of your community. And even if you meet your voters, you just meet a tiny section of them. And it's important to realize this and try and understand what are the feelings in the community, and make sure that so that you can understand who are the people who are, for instance, Eurosceptics or not likely to vote, or very who mistrust politicians. So big data can help elected leaders. How does it work? Well, let me give you an example. This is a project for which we worked a few months ago. This was for Emmanuel Macron's movement, political movement called En Marche. So we did a lot of canvassing, not to convince people to vote for him, but just to listen to citizens. So across France, thousands of volunteers went from door to door to ask 8 questions to French citizens. And so we've got a huge database which is being screened as we speak, and we use algorithms to do so. And thanks to this, this is going to be a snapshot of of France, and it's going to be much more informative than a simple polling. So all the replies obtained through this door-to-door campaign are fed to your system. Yes, indeed, we recorded these discussions with people. So these are millions of words. So you have to use natural language processing. So these algorithms help you to analyze the words that were used, the nuances, the combinations of words, and hopefully this is going to provide the En Marche movement with a much finer representation of the French public's opinions. So these are 2 examples that you wanted to share with you. the way big data can be used, both for campaigning and also to understand better people's opinions. So I find this is a formidable tool. If you take a look at this map, well, of course, it's very nice, but it's just a map. If you don't flesh it out with people who talk to voters, well, it won't help you. And I think that Barack Obama's team understood this very well. It's not just about collecting thousands of data. It's also a way to, it's also important to have a team of people who go and talk to citizens. So big data plus big human involvement is what matters. Yes, and talking about Barack Obama, one tweet wins you a vote every 1,000 tweets, but door-to-door canvassing is much more effective in terms of winning over voters. Yes, indeed, door-to-door is nothing new. Canvassing is something that used to be the rule 1 century ago. And I can, of course, I can tell you more about the methodology, but it might be a bit boring. A methodology tells you how many votes you may win if you do door-to-door. And there's a reference book which is called Get Out the Vote, which is published every year. And one tweet gives you 0 votes, but door-to-door gives you 1 person out of 14 who may change her or his mind. So you were arguing that big data is more is in favor of democracy, but how is it reconciled with your freedom to say no to all this? Now, in terms of privacy, I think we are very well protected. It's slightly different in the UK. The CNIL, the French Commission on Data Privacy, is very efficient. But collecting data just for the sake of collecting data is pointless, of course, because you have to know what you want to do with it. You have to use this data to go out and talk to people. And of course, there is always a risk. But the fact that you have human beings talking to human beings and being placed at the very heart of political campaigns is a very good thing, I think. Now, let's take a look at marketing with Mariale. Big data has become the cornerstone of marketing people. Yes, indeed. My name is Mariale, and I've got I run an advertisement agency on the web. So we use banners and search engines, and of course we use big data a lot. Big data analytics is something which helps us to decipher people's behavior, know what they want, and give it to them. So what is big data? Exactly. Well, big data analytics means collecting, storing, and analyzing data in order to predict people's behavior, influence people's behavior, and measure the impact of what we do to influence what people's decisions. I'm sure that all of you've experienced this. If you log on to an e-commerce site and you just look up a product, and then you visit another website, well, the banners will show the product you looked up on the web, and you may get these banners over and over again for weeks on end. And Criteo, which is a French company, for instance, uses this technology. So the e-commerce websites have got sensors. They identify what sort of products you visited, and then they can post similar products or these products in order to trigger your purchasing the product. Google, for instance, can predict an epidemics in a country or in a region well ahead of the authorities, of the healthcare authorities, because most of the time people then key in, search symptoms or treatments, and so they deduct from this what the situation may be. So we learn a lot about people's opinions and behavior, and of course we can inform advertisers and make sure that there is a constant flow of information to you, so that we can adapt, so that the offer can be aligned with demand. I don't know whether you're aware of how much Google knows about every one of you. But if you want to have a hint about this, you can key in myactivity.google.com. And with this, you'll see your history of search. I'm sure that people are going to stop listening to you and will just rush to the keyboards. And I don't know whether you can remember where you were 1 year ago and what sort of search you had, but Google will remember for you. And what's interesting with big data is that, well, today, of course, our theme this morning is freedom, but in fact, we are not that free. Looking at statistics, you realize that you can access data on yourselves, but some of you may use activity trackers, and this gives you information on yourself. And looking at these statistics, you will come to realize that you are quite predictable. Now, I read some time ago that children born in 2015 will not enjoy privacy and confidentiality of their personally identifiable information. Well, whenever you read 1984 by Orwell, you are scared. And when you take a look at the law that was passed last year, which stipulates that your phone can be tapped, your activity can be tracked, and that, well, at the end of the day, privacy is going to become a very rare thing. But there'll always be some degree of privacy. And conversely, making privacy the cornerstone of freedom is a bit far-fetched, because people who embody freedom usually are public figures. It's what you do, it's the way you act that makes you free. And freedom is all very well, but it's just like your brain, there's no roadmap to freedom. you don't know how your brain works, you don't know how freedom works. Now there's the neuro-linguistic programming, NPL, which can be used in order to program your brain just using words, because this technique, this in fact is based on words, and in fact tells us that reality doesn't exist. You may have, you may remember Margaret's picture saying, "This is not a pipe." So NPL teaches us how to use our brain, and it's very close to the way we marketers use big data. One of the first teachings of neuro-linguistic programming is to say that the fact that you don't know, you're incompetent. For instance, before learning how to bike, you don't know that you don't know how to bike, but when you try a bike, of course, you may come to realize that you don't know how to bike, and then you have to learn how to cycle, and then it's going to become natural to you. So what's interesting with big data is that it shows you that you're not that free after all. And the other thing with neuro-linguistic programming is that if you want to be free, it tells you that if you want to be free, you have to set out your goals. Whenever you ask people what you want, most of the time they answer, well, no idea, I don't know. So it's quite easy for political parties to, when they come knocking on your door, and you don't know how to vote, it's very easy for them to influence you and swing you one way or the other. But if you are quite determined about your choices, then it becomes harder for them.
And the other thing, we as marketing specialists, we use all sorts of information. Your phones produce all sorts of data continuously, but you also have access to that information. And I think that one of the ways to be free is to use information that is available in order to try and reach your own objectives. As of today, there are two types of information. First, useful information you'll be able to use in order to achieve your objectives, and the useless or toxic information. I don't know if you've read that article written by Christian Harris not too long ago. He used to work at Google, and in his article he explained how we were robbing people from their time. As they were talking about 350 million hours per year. For example, if you have a look at Facebook, and they're going to send you all sorts of information. Not all that information is necessarily useful, but thanks to this, to big data, the thread knows what's going to be of some interest to you. Yes. And you might be ending up spending an entire day online reading information that is not necessarily useful to you or not necessarily interesting. Useful information is information that allows you to reach your objective, to train. And there was another article explaining that information allowed you to fight Alzheimer's disease. So big data and freedom. I know you were talking about this book, this novel, 1984, and the fact that GAFA are really robbing us from our time and our neurons. And you were also saying that Google could predict epidemics. So maybe we should... is there a lack of education? Are people really aware of what's going on? Well, yes, I think education is an issue, definitely. But people also have to act, because when we talk about freedom, freedom really is about what you do with it. When people try and make you stay in front of your computer, well, they prevent you from making use of that freedom. And some people might think that all marketing specialists want to keep you in front of your computer, but this is not the case. Not necessarily. I work for some companies who want to offer services, sport activities, or even teaching services. So we, as marketing specialists, we try to discover what your needs are, what you're looking for, and we try to meet those needs. Same question as the one I'd asked Guillaume, but this is for products and services. Does big data allow to sell more or better? So do you still use the old marketing methods, or are things changing? Well, no, we are seeing a new revolution because we are selling better rather than necessarily selling more, because we have a much better understanding of what your needs are, and we're also able to better influence your expectations, if you will. With regards to selling more products or more services, well, I do think that, yes, in a sense, we are able to sell more, but then we reach a point where we won't be able to sell more and more all the time. Quality will have to be more important in quantity. Instead of maybe selling dozens of the same cheap T-shirt, maybe we'll try and sell you just one T-shirt, but a better and more expensive one. So with marketing specialists, we use the information in a specific way. Advertisers also use it in a way, but you also use information. You tweet, you post messages on Facebook, maybe you have a blog also. So everyone has access to information in a way or another, and I think that more and more consumers also make use of the information. There's another question that you might want to answer, three of you. Can we maybe escape from this situation without having to go and live on an isolated island? Well, maybe it's possible to escape some of that information system, because we are very reliant on the various electronic devices, computers, smartphones, but not everyone has to have a Facebook account, for example. You don't have to post all sorts of information. So you have that possibility to maybe move away from some of that system. So what about the digital human right now? So what, how will people consume in the future, digitally speaking? Well, I think that the human being stays at the heart of all this, and it will depend on what you decide to do with the system. The products that we make, if you don't buy them, well, we'll stop selling them and we'll try and sell other products. So humans, and not just each human individually, and each human being individually, it's the humans as a whole that are going to change things. Groups of people. It's not just one person who is going to change the world. No, it's a group of people, a majority of people who are really going to change things. So, Mariale, for those of you who need a translation into French, that's time to put on your headphones, and it's channel 4 for English and 3 for French. So you might want to switch to 3 for French. So, Mariale, in English or French?
In English, so this is a vision of a researcher. Maybe you can tell us what you think of your fellows told us.
Well, I don't speak any French. I do understand a little bit. And I think both perspectives to what I understood, because I was not using the translator. I think both perspectives are quite interesting in terms of how you could apply big data for knowing consumer, better consumers, and then how to position yourself in the market, and then also knowing citizens and which are their preferences for election systems, and how you could have a more more clear vision of how the election will be looking, and that's basically possibly could be more transparent as well.
Et peut-être qu'on peut avoir un processus plus transparent également. C'était très intéressant.
Should I start?
You can start,
Okay,
yeah.
great.
Thank you.
So,
Est-ce que je peux commencer?
as I was introduced, I'm Mariale Moreno, and I'm a research fellow in Cranfield University. And I would like to take a different perspective on how big data could be applied, because as we work in universities, we do a lot of research, we also do a lot of teaching, but most of our research is looking into the vision of how things could be in the future. And what we try, especially in Cranfield, because we are postgraduate universities, to prepare our students to face that future with very strong basis, and basically, we prepare them to go towards that future, knowing about the future trends. So, and big data is now, but it's also it's starting to be big, and it's going to become bigger. Also, we try to prepare them for the future challenges, so especially related to sustainability and anything that has to do with creating a better future. So we talk a lot of positive economy, we talk a lot of digital economy, and we talk a lot of circular economy. So I would like to give you 3 examples of how we work with organizations, with businesses, and also how we use those relationships to teach our students. So I will talk about, as I said, 3 examples. One is a research project, another one is a hackathon that we organize with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, which are pioneer on the topic of circular economy. And the third one is entrepreneurship that was developed by 3 of my students, which are sitting in this audience today. So the first one, a research project. So I lead the RECODE network, which means the network on redistributed manufacturing, consumer goods, and big data. So redistributed manufacturing is a subject which it started to be quite big in the UK. It's how to bring back manufacturing to the UK, but with the new capabilities that the modern world is bringing to us, such as the use of new technologies, Internet of Things, and the use of big data. So to demonstrate the redistribution of manufacturing, what we have been working in the summer is making an example with the fashion industry. So we developed a small project called the Shoe Lab, in where basically we are bringing the manufacture of shoes back to the UK, and not just back to the UK, but also that the retail shop is where you can actually see your shoes being produced and buy. So how does it work? So I had 4 students working on the project, one in the business model, one in the 3D printing of shoes, one of on the use of big data, and another one in the privacy of that data. So the concept development of this shoe lab is basically that through data captured by scanners in the shop, the user can get into the shop, scan their feet, then that information will go to a 3D printer, and and you will get your shoes 3D printed in the shop. After that, you can wear your shoes, try them, and even before the shoe is produced, you can see if they fit, if you like the color, and all this brings a lot of personalization to the object. Then the shoe will have some sensors that could track your performance, help you to open doors at home, make payments, and all these technologies are there because we see them and we use our phone to do this. And you can also communicate with other users, and the idea is also to bring the local community into the concept. So you will be sharing information with same users that go to that local store. So in terms of data protection, it's very important to understand how to protect data from users, and especially because with these technologies, a lot of data could escape, and it's very important that you inform your user about the data that has been used and how you are protecting the data. So during these 4 months, we have been working on the Shula project. It's good to say that this project has been sponsored by Cisco. Cisco is a company that is very interested on connecting everything to the internet, especially wearable technologies. So the next day, we have a proof of concept, and we did 3D print a shoe. And unfortunately, I couldn't bring it with me because it's in another exhibition. But in our website, RECODE, network.com, there is a lot of information about this project, so you could access to it. The next phase for this project is that we will present it in other events. The second project I want to talk to you is about a hackathon that we organized with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, Cisco again, and Philips. So through 3 days in Cranfield, we gather a lot of students and we give them a challenge in where basically they have to look into how to connect personal health objects that Cisco has, such as toothbrush, such as razors, and how to use that information to inform circular economy strategies. So basically, by understanding the pattern of use of a toothbrush or a shaver, we can know if that object needs maintenance or it can be returned to the manufacturer to be remanufactured, or even enhance new business models, such as services within this product. Sorry. So yeah, we had a hackathon for 3 days, and this hackathon was also not just delivered in Cranfield, but also in other universities internationally, such as MIT in the States, and also NID in India. And collaboratively with the students, we developed new business models that Philips could use as ideas to develop new business models in their company. And the third project I would like to talk about is Saybit, which is an app for avoiding food waste. And Dorothy, Isar, and Lula, who are here sitting, they have been developing for the whole year this entrepreneurship and this app, which basically is quite interesting because there are already a lot of apps in the market that help you to avoid food waste. But what is interesting about their value proposition that they are creating is that the app will not just help you to know and plan your shopping list, but also will give information to the retailers of what products are in demand by people, and that will help retailers to plan better their supply chain and know exactly what products to ask to their suppliers. So basically, those are my 3 examples on how we work with big data and how we apply big data, the concept of big data in education in Cranfield University.
Thank you, Mariale. Une question, on est proche de...
So I have one question now. We are reaching the end of this session. I'm going to ask a question to all 3 of you. So it's not necessarily an easy question, but I'm going to ask you for a short answer if possible. Now, using big data, using data at a large scale. You mean you've been telling us that it's going to go even further. So, do we need more ethics? Do we need more rules? And how? So, Guillaume, do you want to start? And this is a difficult question, I know. Well, yes, definitely. Yes, we need more ethics, but no, we don't necessarily have to think about the rules, because in most European countries in which we carried out the campaigns, in France, in Germany, Italy, the rules are very strict, so there's no need to reinvent them. We just need to make sure that people comply with those rules. Are they realistic? Yeah, they are, and they are changing. You know, as a company, we have a discussion with CNIL in France. So we have a discussion with them. They came and meet. They came to meet with us a year before the campaign started, and so the rules haven't quite been completely defined yet, but things are changing. You know, people want to be in line with the current trends. So the rules do exist now. We just need to make sure that they are being complied with by all stakeholders. But there is always this myth that you can do everything and anything with data, which is true in a sense. But if you have a huge database, but you don't really know how to use the data, for example, in 2012, Nicolas Sarkozy bought a huge database with millions of people in it. I think it was the Amex database, or one of those big credit card database, and with the millions of email addresses, and he thought he could just send an email to people in order to invoices, but it simply didn't work that way. This is not the way to go. No, what really counts is not gathering all sorts of data, huge quantities of data. It's really making good use of the data. Well, I tend to agree with Guillaume. I think this example of the database is a very good one indeed. There are some rules in place. There are people at the French Commission called CNIL that are in charge of defining those rules. But our generation, as you know, grew up with technology. Those who make the laws, who pass the laws, maybe not as much as we did, but as new people come in, we have maybe people are more aware of the technologies, and I think that the rules are changing based on this. And second, it's also about common sense and what you do as individuals. Yeah, obviously, someone could buy a email address database and send you an email, or send the same email to 1 or 2 million people, but this is strictly forbidden by the French Commission, by CNIL. No, you're not allowed to send an email to someone if that person hasn't authorized you to do so. But if you send an email, what will happen to you? Well, maybe if you receive such an email, well, maybe you simply will ignore the email, or you might have a negative image, representation of that person. You'll say, well, who's that person? Why is that person sending me an email? And you have this permission marketing idea. This is really the rule today. So you have the possibility. I mean, you can't just criticize people on the net. Now, if I'm a brand and I spend an entire day displaying a banner on your screen, this will have a negative impact, because you will have a good representation of the brand. You will have more of a negative opinion. So rules are changing, but the way you act, what you do, is also very important. So consumers have a role to play. So
non-French actor, because CNIL is not everywhere in the world. Same question, does big data require more and more ethics in business? And how? Does big data require more and more ethics in business?
Il faut plus d'éthique.
Yes, I do think so, that big data requires more ethics in business. There is a big black hole in legislation on how to use big data. And if government and legislation doesn't cut up to kind of put some regulatory measures, especially for business, is going to go the wrong way, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Merci à nos trois speakers. On peut les applaudir.
Well, thank you to our three speakers. I think we can really applaud them and clap our hands because they were really interesting. And you have the possibility to ask them lots of questions if you wish outside this room in the Meet the Speaker area. I think they will be there for approximately 15 minutes in order to answer your questions regarding the use of big data. And I do hope that we have answered some of those questions. I'd like to thank you for answering our questions. And the next conference will start in 10 minutes. Thank you.